Okay, yeah, it's recording.
All right, so we're covering eating disorders. I'm Tangi McElroy.
I'm Nicole Alley.
I'm Nancy Torres.
And I'm Cassie Keaton. So eating disorders, we have two different types that we're talking about, anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. And the general characteristics of anorexia are an intense fear of being overweight and a distorted view of body weight or shape. So usually they think that they look larger or heavier than they really are. And then there's two types of those. The restricting type, where they restrict what they consider bad foods until they're eating almost no food at all. And then there's the binge eating purging type, which is when they get rid of food by either vomiting, laxatives, or extreme exercise. And then for bulimia, general characteristics would be a period of uncontrolled overeating during a limited period of time. There are two types of bulimia as well. The purging type, which uses vomiting, laxatives, diuretics, which is they're medications that make you pee everything out, and then enemas. And then the non-purging type use fasting and excessive exercise to get rid of their unwanted weight. The signs and symptoms of anorexia are a low opinion on body shape. They overestimate their proportions. Like I said, they think that they're heavier or bigger than they really are. They usually have depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, insomnia or other sleep disturbances, substance abuse, obsessive compulsive patterns, and perfectionisms. Some of the maladaptive attitudes they have is that I will be beautiful thin and I must be perfect in every way. So you can see that perfectionism in that I must be perfect in every way. The medical problems that come as a result of starvation, which happens because of anorexia, is amenorrhea, which is when you don't get your monthly period, low body temperature, low blood pressure, body swelling, reduced bone density, and a slower heart rate. The signs and symptoms of bulimia are weight fluctuation. They have binging episodes, an average of 10 per week. They usually vomit soon after eating, dehydration, fasting. They won't eat in public usually, excessive exercising, mood swings, and irritability. And then the symptoms that are the same as anorexia is they also have depression, anxiety, perfectionism, substance abuse, usually disturbed attitudes towards eating, which is a disturbed attitude towards eating would be kind of disgusted by the idea of eating. They don't like to eat. And low opinion on body shape, and low self-esteem. The similarities and differences between anorexia and bulimia, the similarities are that it usually happens after a period of, the problem usually starts after a period of dieting. They have an extreme fear of obesity more than an average person. They have an extreme drive to be thin. They're obsessed with food, weight, and appearance. They have a high risk of self-harm and suicide. It's coupled with anxiety, depression, and perfectionism, sometimes substance abuse, and that disturbed attitude towards eating. The differences are with bulimia. People with bulimia are more worried about pleasing others and having intimate relationships, and they tend to be more sexually experienced. They display fewer obsessive qualities that drive the restricting type anorexia, and they are more likely to have histories of mood swings, low frustration tolerance, and poor coping.
Okay, so the first video is a clip from Grey's Anatomy, and it's basically this girl went to the hospital, and it'll explain everything. Let's see if
Oh, sorry, that didn't work. Go.
That? Not at all. She's a normal college kid. So what do you see? Your stomach staples. Just had a gastric bypass. And a bad when it did. Procedure normally done on obese patients to help them lose weight. Claire, she'll make it lose weight. Are you kidding? This means the world to her. It is so typical with this one to take the easy way out. She's done it with everything since she was a little kid. Ms. Rice, nothing about this is going to be easy. She's going to face a lifelong struggle with malnutrition unless she has surgery to reverse the procedure. Do the surgery. I told her to watch the fresh food intake. Don't eat junk exercise, but when she came home Christmas, who had to take her out and buy her a brand new pair of size 6 jeans because she couldn't get in the ones I got her myself?
Tina, she tries so hard. She does. She gets good grades. She gets A's.
So, unfortunately, there were complications. Before you guys start, I know you're mad. Disbelief, Claire. Just disbelief.
Where did you get the idea to do this?
You know, honey, there's a healthy way to lose weight. Yeah, I've tried that, but it doesn't work for me like it does for you.
Hey, you don't need to lose weight.
What are you waiting? And how much have you been working out? Most of the time when people hit their target weight, they have to work to stay there. Everyone gains weight in college, Mom. It's stressful. There's not enough time for exercise. I just thought if I wasn't worried about my diet, then I could focus more on my studies. So you took yet another shortcut. Life doesn't work that way, Claire.
Tina.
What? You want to argue this? She has so much potential if she would just apply herself. Okay. I think we should focus on taking care of your dog. No, it's my body. I do not want surgery again. There are serious complications, and this is about your health. I'd rather be thin. Well, I'm afraid the choice isn't up to you. Claire will never eat normally again.
Okay, so this showed very like how the girl very much like associated her self-worth with her body weight, and she like was constantly trying to be more and more thin. And it also showed kind of like how family members can both have the disorder and how it's kind of common, because it seemed like her mom also did, because she was like constantly trying to force her to be thin, and she was also very thin, so it could be like not necessarily a genetic thing, but it could be like passed along in a family. So some of the consistencies were she was obsessed with her weight and appearance. She did not want to eat food, and she was like constantly trying to diet at first, which they talked about. She wanted to impress her parents. That was very clear. She was very like fearful of gaining freshman 15 and like gaining any type of weight. And clearly like she started dieting. She didn't like how her body looked before. And the inconsistencies were she was usually restrictions she involved, like she didn't not eating food. We didn't really see that as much because she got the gastric bypass, because she couldn't do that, she said. She didn't have like the traditional like medical issues that were associated with that. They didn't talk about self-harm necessarily, though like the surgery could be viewed as self-harm in a way, but not like the traditional type of like self-harm that you normally would see like associated with that. She also did defend how like she gained weight with the freshman 15. She like talked to her, she was like arguing with her mom, and she said that like it's normal for most girls to have that, or most people to have gain weight during college, and I don't think that would necessarily line up if she had like anorexia. I think she wouldn't defend herself in that way. But that's the main consistencies and inconsistencies for that video.
Okay, so the next video is from Dance Academy. It's about a girl that has bulimia, and on the video you'll see like all like the symptoms, and then we'll talk about it.
I totally upheld. There was a kiss brewing, but I stuck strong to the no glue pact. Hi. We really need to talk. Hang on, fresh face. Nearly done. I know what you're doing. You're sick, and we can't ignore it any longer.
Yeah? I have food poisoning. Gone now.
Stop lying. You've got bulimia, Kat.
What do you mean? I've got it. What, like I caught it off a toilet seat?
It's serious. You can get stomach ulcers, lose your teeth. It damages your immune system. This isn't you. You're not this person. You're smarter than this.
Right. Smart enough to know this isn't about me. You're jealous. You're miserable in the company, completely out of your depth. And for the first time ever, I'm not just the funny sidekick. I'm fit. I don't have back issues. I don't have any issues. And you can't stand that.
Okay, so the consistencies that we saw in this video is that she ate a massive amount of the bread, and we didn't get to see the whole video, but she actually ate multiple times. They showed where she would eat a lot and without barely any chewing, and she would throw it up right after. And there was also a part where she goes and eats, but she does not eat in public, and that's one of the symptoms as well. And she does that binging in secret, and then you can see that she has a lot of excessive exercising, and then she gets very angry when her friend tells her that she has bulimia. She gets defensive and gets very irritated, and you can see some slight depression in the video as well. Some inconsistencies are that she did not have substance abuse, and there was not really any well, I guess there was some perfectionism, but not as much that we can see in the video, and there was no attempts to self-harm or suicide.
So the blog that we chose to focus on was Beauty Beyond Bones. And it's about a woman named Carolyn and her journey with severe anorexia. And she shows pictures of herself, but she chooses to remain anonymous by not releasing her full name. But I think she recently did. And she mentions that she uses her blog to receive social support from others because she wasn't really open with it, with her anorexia with her family at first, and her friends know that she has a blog, but they don't know what it's about. So she uses her blog to receive social support from others who aren't like super close to her. She also has been in recovery from anorexia for about 8 years, and she is an actress, speaker, and author. And then some consistencies that we see on her blog is that at the worst of her disorder, she weighed 78 pounds. And for reference, she's 5'6" and was 18 years old at the time. And she was also told by the treatment center that she went to that she was the worst case that they had ever had. And she lost a lot of her hair due to lack of nutrition. She called it peach fuzz, but it's the lanugo that we talked about in class. She also has psychological problems like low self-esteem and depression. So she said on her blog, "I was too busy being preoccupied with self-hatred and thinking about how many calories were present in my body." So that just kind of shows that she had low self-esteem because she had self-hatred towards herself. And she also talked a lot about shame that she had. She also said, "I was vibrant, I was exciting, I had passion, zest, life, energy, and love." And she said, "Anorexia took all those things from me and it was slowly killing her." So that just kind of shows like the depressive state she was in. And she also said that she felt like she was just a shell of the former person that she used to be. She also mentions on her blog that she's a perfectionist, which is a common characteristic of those who have anorexia. And she had a preoccupation with food. So she said, "For anorexics, the Food Network is like watching porn, literally. It gives them like a masochistic pleasure in watching people cook and consume food, and it's euphorically torturous." So that just kind of shows her preoccupation with food. And then some inconsistencies that we saw was just that a number of people who suffer from anorexia nervosa also engage in substance abuse, but she mentioned that she never drank or smoked in high school. And she also has ulcerative colitis, which is a disease, and it makes it hard for her to gain weight and absorb nutrients. So while she did have anorexia, that disease just magnified her symptoms.